this is going to be a love reading now. The last message I did, if you caught the live, was oral. And I got a little heated at the end. Okay, so I don't know if I'm going to actually repost that because it's like drill sergeant. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I don't know everybody out there in Tarot Land can handle it, to be honest. Because a lot of people don't handle stuff well, if we haven't noticed. Just saying. I may have jumped the shark on that one at the end. But I do believe it was still part of the message overall. You know what I'm saying? I still feel pretty good about it. You know what I mean? But I don't know that I'm gonna release it. But what I wanted to do in that video, but then the rest of that message took over. The Lover's Oracle I wanted to do, and the Romance Angels as well today. Okay, so you know, if this is not your message, do check out one of the other videos. Maybe you are just looking for some kind of meditation or something just to put on in the background. Feel free to put on one of my videos, and as you're listening or not listening, you might hear something you're like, oh, that makes sense, or that's, oh yeah, I was just going through that, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's just kind of stuff we talk about over here. Like, you know, this is real life, right? Okay. Just like I'm allowed to get heated on my tarot channel, but you know what? If I was Jim Cramer from Fox, they would have given me a goddamn TV show by now. You know what I'm saying? And the rest of us, they're like, well, you're just crazy. Am I crazy or am I just making sense? And right? It's like I was saying in the last video, some people just don't know how to be happy. You can give them the whole fucking world and they will not be happy. Okay? So, the president, I don't care if you voted for him or not. I know I fucking didn't. I didn't vote for him twice. What do you think about that? But I'm goddamn happy he had stupid ass Kid Rock by with the motherfucking bond in the old fucking office and that little goddamn Star Spangled get up. You know, Elvis met with Nixon. You know, sometimes we just got to do these things, whether you like the person or not, because they're actually doing something that's on the right side of history, believe it or not. I was just down in Florida. People be like, how do you afford to go to all these concerts? Yeah, well, exactly. You look at the prices. Well, when I was down in Florida, one ticket I actually got for free. They had an extra. And it was my first time seeing that band, so I thought it was kind of cool that I got it for free on that one. And then one of the other nights I didn't like really know anybody, so I was in the parking lot and I had, you know, and I was like, hey, I'm looking for a ticket, and she's like, well, yeah, I have one. I was like, well, how much? You know, I mean, I was still offering to buy one. I didn't just expect one for free, but you know, she, you know, gave it to me at, you know, cash value, right? Which usually I use the Cash or Trade app or website when I'm looking. But for this particular run, this concert run, the tickets were just like flying off the shelves. Like as soon as it was posted, it would just like go like that. So it was almost impossible to even buy like a 3-day pass, you know, and like it was packed in there too. Like it was full. It's like people were ready to get out. Kind of like earlier, that message was ready to get out. Okay. Also, if you do harass me or anybody else in the chat, you will be removed. You will be blocked, banned from the channel, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know. Elementary, my dear Watson. Elementary. Right? Some people, oh, they're book smart. They know. Well, I know how to read the sign, and the sign says, sir, you are wrong. Right? Or lady or whoever that thinks they're so entitled, right? That was one of the things that Kid Rock was saying in the Oval Office. He's like, my folks used to go to shows all the time, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, that's what I was talking about in the last video. It's like, now it's like you got to plan for, like, freaking Disney. You know what I mean? Somebody says, shout out to your brother, Nick. Big shooter. Are you a skeet shooter, big shooter? Or are you doing one of these, like, shoot you the... You know what I mean? You know what? My Spanish teacher, when I was growing up, he always used to tell us, he's like, people will think you're a hick from the sticks. Just because where you grew up, because where they will think you are an uneducated hick from the sticks. And he didn't really have to say uneducated. We knew what that meant for somebody to say you're a hick from the sticks. It means like you're some common idiot, country idiot, you know what I'm saying? But almost like an unuseful country idiot, you know what I'm saying? Common, right? Anyway, damn, you trying to get it on mama. Is that how you do it? Is that what the guys do these days? I was down in this bar in Florida one time, and I kind of unintentionally had to give this guy the 5-finger salute, ending up with, this finger, because he was kind of making like some lewd gestures towards me, I felt like, at the bar, and I didn't really think that was appropriate. So I kind of, in my own way, made a gesture back to him. So he knew exactly who and what he was dealing with and who wasn't going to be, going home by his charms that evening, or by the charms of whoever he was working with behind me, which is probably why he got the drink spilled on him later that night. Do you know what I'm saying? Some things just work out, right? Yeah. Exactly. And I went to sleep that day, and then, oh my gosh, I ran into the nicest crew of construction workers the next morning. They helped me. I'd gotten locked out of my room, and one of them like shimmied through the window like a goddamn gypsy. It's like, not everybody needs to be the big linebacker. You know what I mean? Some of them windows are it's kind of like the gypsies that came into my house and stole my motherfucking ring and my confirmation medals from me that my grandmother and my blind aunt gave to me for my confirmation. Yeah. Low lives, right? So yeah, different applications, right? For thieves versus, nice construction Mexicans down in Florida who say Mexican, not Mexican, right? That's what we say down in Mexico. Mexican. You always say it's Mexican, it's not Mexican. Give me a reading. I think my future is effed. Ooh, well, this is the first card, big shooter. So yeah, is it over? You're like maybe asking yourself like, like, did I blow this? You know what I mean? You might want to get grounded. Even the lowest of the low, right, at a certain point, can wake up the next day and say, you know what, today's going to be the day. It's like that movie Groundhog Day, where it's like every day is the same. Every day is the same. And then that next day is like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. I'm going to start looking at it with a different viewpoint. Okay. And that's what I was talking about in the previous video as well. The one that I haven't released. The one where I got my inner drill sergeant. I mean, people will be frightened when they watch that. They will be scared. They will be like, oh my God, do we need to call the law? This is how people are these days. This is how soft they are. I mean, I grew up with relatives that were in the armed forces. So, some of this stuff doesn't necessarily faze me like it does other folks. And like I was mentioning on the video, are they going to be going in, battling, saying karma is my boyfriend, or are they going to be cranking the ACDs? You know what I mean? I personally think it's going to be an ACD. I'm a Gen Xer, though. Some of these millennials and Gen Z people, they'll surprise you sometimes. Right? But you know what? That would kind of be a good battle song. Like, hey, I'm the problem. It's me. Yeah, because I'm going to be your problem if you don't get out of this Humvee's way. Give me a reason about my game dogs, my game bulldogs, pit bulls. Yeah. Is your name Michael Vick? How could you ever forgive the mess I've made? Yeah. If you're Gambling on animals, it may not bode well for you, right? We still have horse racing, harness racing, stuff like that, but like dog racing, we don't even really do anymore. I believe cockfighting is banned. If you want to do that, put your own ugly mug out in the street and let somebody punch you in the face, right? Right. I have some ex-boyfriends that I volunteer for you. Right. Only the most deserving ones, of course. Especially the Catholic ones, because they ought to know better. Who's got that St. Christopher medal now? I had a cousin had a saint's name. I have a lot of cousins with saints' names, though, including my own. Named after Saint Stephen, right? Wherever he goes, the people all complain. I know. Anyway, you can't win them all, right? Not everybody's gonna like it. That's why there's lots of different kinds of tea. My mom likes that oolong stuff. I'm like, it's okay. I'm more of a chai gal. Maybe that makes me a basic B. I don't effing know, and I don't care. Right? In our quest for our uniqueness and our little special snowflakeness, right? Okay. This says, don't treat me the way you do. I don't deserve it. Okay. So there could be some unique qualities that you possess. Maybe you are not like, everybody else, blah, blah, but there are some things that we all do, right? Well, eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom. How about that? Let's start at the basics. So if you can't treat somebody like they have that basic human capacity, you ought to be asking yourself some important life questions. Maybe that's what you need to sleep on tonight and say, well, tomorrow, maybe that's going to be the day for me to start actually using what's under this thinking cap. What's between them ears, right? Are we on Back to the Future yet? I feel like that old battle axe teacher, Mr. Whatever, and he looks the same, right? He looks the same every like time they time travel. No, honestly, I'm not gonna become enlightened, somebody says. Well, enlightenment is a journey. Okay. You can become enlightened at any point in time. I wish I could understand you. One of my favorite words and why I use my Instagram the way I do is it's epiphany. Okay. It's epiphany 8, but anyway. Because that road of learning is forever. It's an infinite loop. Even once we cross over, right? Have you ever seen that movie, It's a Wonderful Life? Okay. And we focus on the characters that are living in that town, right? But who was it that was sent to help George Bailey? A former man who had passed on, who was trying to get his wings. Do you smoke bud? I don't smoke anybody named Bud. I do have a card, though, a license in my state for medical marijuana. My state also legally can sell recreational marijuana, even to people that do not live in our state. It's just there's different like legal limits, you know what I mean? So, rules around like some places you can't buy alcohol on Sundays or after 11 o'clock or, you know what I mean? Like there's always rules around things of this nature. So this wishing that they could understand you, sorry, I got the AC/DC in the background, you know what I mean? Riding down the highway. going to a show, right? You know, what is the goal, man? Is it the bigger house? Is it the bigger car? Or, are we going to try and tap into some like having some life experiences that don't just happen online, right? Yeah, it's sure fun to share our, slideshows, our show and tell and whatever, right? But are we doing it in order to show, or are we doing it because we're living and now we're talking about it? Right? Like I was always jealous of the kids that would come back from their summer vacation, and there'd always, sure enough, always be some kid, even though I would ask every year. Like that was one thing I would ask. Are we ever gonna go to Disney? Like, Lord have mercy, that was like me asking for a goddamn brand new spring and fall wardrobe every year. You know what I mean? That was like, right? Now, I got to go there as an adult and take a youngster with my partner at the time. It was his goddaughter, and she like had a ball. You know what I mean? So, seeing it through the child's eyes versus being the child, you know what I mean? Is it that much different? Right? Appreciating what we have when we had it. So, this whole is it over? It's like, okay, well, is it over because you want it to be over? Or is it over because you can't imagine how to create it in a way that's meaningful for you? What? Because my parents never took me to Disney World, therefore nobody else should go to Disney World and experience it? Should I get mad at my former boss that her and her husband were Disney Vacation Club members? They had, you know what I mean? Because some people go that much, you know what I mean? And that's how they want to spend and interact their lives, right? Some people like, oh, they go on vacation, they spend all this money. Well, you know what? Their car, you know what I mean? They got some decent car. They're not like super fancy, Got an all right house. I mean, it's big. They're only two people. They don't got no kids. You know what I mean? Like when you start putting yourself in somebody else's shoes, it's like, well, yeah, okay. Instead of like turning on that haterade juice, like expecting your life to look like their life. Shout me out, Devonte. Well, I don't know who Devonte is, Miss Tamika Jones. Let's get into the romance angels, though. I did want to get that for you guys, okay? So let's see what the romance angels have to say with the situation. And, obviously you have to take your enlightenment in, maybe small doses, right? For some people, smoking or using alcohol or other things can be something that they do to numb themselves from pain or facing issues. But, that comes as well with pharmaceuticals. So, I'm not saying don't or the other way is better or not. It's again a different approach, okay? And some of it has been, medically proven. Obviously, do your own research and things of that nature, okay? But don't discount something just because it's not like maybe, something that you're used to seeing, right? I was just watching on PBS. They had, one of those Chinese markets, but it's like a pharmacy. They have like a holistic doctor on site. You go in, they diagnose you, and then they give you all this stuff, and then you boil it and make your own tea. Okay. Where's my pardon me. Ooh. The theater. Right? Attraction. What are you attracting? Again, that springtime, that nature, attracting the new life, right? Somebody thinking it might be over for themselves when really maybe they just weren't attracting the right things, Okay. Tamika Jones is my mom's name. Right on, Tyrone. Okay. Heart-to-heart conversations. Honestly, discuss your feelings with each other. So, if you are not certain if it is over or not, maybe that's because you have not had that heart-to-heart conversation yet. You could go on and on for the rest of your life not knowing, or have the conversation and then, you know, it's like, don't you want to know what's under that scratch off? Like, did you win anything? Right? And then, if not, then, oh well, another one comes along, right? Isn't that what they say? You're driving down the interstate, you missed that exit, okay. Hopefully the next exit, there'll be some. Not always, though. If you've done any driving across the country like I have. I've not been to all 50 states, though. I have friends that have been to all 50 states, though. I've been to multiple countries as well. Alrighty. So let's see what else the romance angels have to say. So again, in that movie, Clarence, like, he is attempting to get his wings. He's attempting to be an angel. Like, no matter where you're at, like, there's, he was already crossed over, wiped off the planet. Right? And then one day, he's up there in the little stardust area, right? Having his little conversation. It's like, I'm still trying to get them wings, make things a little easier on me up here, right? That kind of sort of thing. Okay? So, how could you ever forgive the mess I've made? This person could be asking you for forgiveness at some point in time. You could be asking this person as well, however the situation is. Express your love. Go ahead and make the romantic gesture. So maybe the romantic gesture is going to be asking for some kind of forgiveness for whatever behavior, and I'm not here to sit there and say, once a cheater, always a cheater, and this and that. Every situation has different things going on, right? So only if you can forgive this person and move forward, right? Or you forgive this person and then you move forward on your own tracks, right? And that's kind of the understanding, will we ever intersect again, or are we going to now go on our parallel ways, right? You ever heard of a parallel universe? Right? Whoa, man, that tarot reader was talking about parallel universes and stuff. Okay. Right? Try not to, get too heady over it, right? Because you're in a pretty cool universe right now. Are you not? One where you're actually able, if you are willing, to ask the question, is it over? And you don't have to be coming here and asking me about it. Right? Okay. So, if this is somebody that you feel like expressing your love to, go ahead and do it. And listen, I get it. Unrequited love sucks. But you know what? You don't know unless you express that out there. So you don't have to sit around when you're 75 years old in the nursing home and say, well, if I had said this, well, what if you did say that and it didn't work out anyway? And so, you knew it was over, and then you went to some Kid Rock concert or something. Okay, I don't know. Right? We got options. We got choices. Okay? So express your love, express it, and see how it propels you forward. Okay? Because we can't change what already happened. We cannot. No, we cannot. All right. So let's continue. See what else the romance angels I have to say. Is, I mean, you might be the one telling this person, you know, don't treat me this way. I don't deserve it. Right? Like, you know, you want to come in and like, what's that song? It's too late to apologize. Right? It's too late. You might be, you know, that might be the song. That might be the song for you. We're just like, okay, well, thanks. Now I gotta go, you know, make my peanut butter and jelly for Tamika. You know what I mean? Are you on spring break right now, Devante? Is that what's going on? True love. This is the romance of a lifetime. I can't tell. Everybody has their different spring breaks, you know, these days. Don't treat me the way you do. I don't deserve it. And then this says, true love. This is the romance of a lifetime. So what this is saying is, right? Is, even if you expressed your love, it wasn't necessarily returned, blah, 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 blah. This person, whoever this person is, your true love, actually cares about you. Yeah. You will not know, though, obviously, unless you take that risk and express it. So, you know, if that's the type of expression you want and you're not getting it, then you might be telling whoever, you know, I don't want to be treated this way. What that's going to actually get you is into the proper Two of Cups situation. And why? It's because you are making the effort towards this picture of happiness. Okay. Okay. So, part of why this person has not yet made the effort is because they feel like they don't understand you. But maybe they don't understand you because there has not been a heart-to-heart conversation yet. Okay. All right. This is all I have for you guys. Again, I don't know if I'm going to end up posting this morning's reading, but most of it was about, you know, using time to contemplate and clear what you need to be prioritizing. Okay. Because it can be real easy to get all wrapped up into this love stuff, right? Where we don't even want to make the effort, right? Because we know it's like, ugh, it just becomes too consuming, right? So if you have to retreat in order to think about things a little bit, especially if you do end up having a heart-to-heart conversation with this person, like, it's okay. Like, realize, you know, Rome was not built in a day. Not everything is going to get resolved, right? And, you know, it's not a sitcom that we wrote out and kind of made up, right? Like, some of those things are embellished. Okay? Real life is not. You know, you take away the embellishments and it's like, oh, like, now what are we doing? Okay? You know, it's kind of like that, you know, maybe you did go on vacation with somebody, whatever. And then you get back and it's like, you know, you thought it was going to be more fun or whatever. You know what I mean? Then you get back home and it's like, yeah, they're kind of the same old shitty person I thought they were before. You know, maybe then that's the time you need to have the heart conversation with that person. Be like, yeah, I don't think this is gonna work, right? I'm feeling that a lot in the throat chakra as well. So somebody could be needing to have some kind of breakup conversation. Um, yeah. And part of this expressing your love in that situation is going to be letting them know that that's just not something that you're going to accept, right? Whatever that kind of mess is, whatever that kind of behavior was, right? So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, this person also is having a hard time being alone right now. Okay, and they would like to kind of be in this one-to-one with you, talking about it, right? Um, hanging on the couch together. You know what I mean? Or just being around each other, being in the same space. Um, if this is an ex collective, you may need to release them because it may be one of these things where it's like they're coming to you just because out of familiarity. Like, I've heard a lot of these stories, especially guys that, they get depressed and then they go back and start talking to like one of their ex-wives or something like that, or vice versa, and because they think nobody else is going to understand. But that often gets them trapped in a loop of depending on somebody and a relationship that is dead and gone, right? it's looking, that's a past place. It's not future looking, right? So, you may need to release your ex, maybe, and maybe your ex was a very capable person. Maybe now you need to start going to see a counselor. Maybe now you need to start going to see an accountant. Maybe now you need to start, whatever it is. So release that past, okay? And get out of thinking that nobody else can possibly understand this. Right? Because again, at the end of the day, we're, some DNA strings all looped together in this crazy metaphysical world. Tied here by gravity. Right? Yeah. Didn't he say gravity? Something like release me? Yeah, so again, releasing ties to things where you're just like, oh, if I didn't have this, wouldn't I feel like a weight's been lifted off my shoulders, right? Almost like I can defy gravity. That's what it feels like when you start coming out of depression as well. And a lot of people might think you're acting weird, think you're acting high, blah, blah. Guess what? The medicine's working. Okay. Especially if at the end of the day, you're not being toxic and destructive. I remember going to see psychiatry office once, and they were asking me these random questions, and they're like, have you ever felt good about yourself for more than 2 weeks at a time? And I was like, yeah. Well, now listen to this. That was supposed to be a red flag. It's like, Now, me personally, I don't think having a healthy view of self-confidence about yourself, you know what I mean, is a bad thing. So that was the red flag right there. Maybe this tells me maybe I know a little bit more about my condition than these people do. Right? And then she was like, yeah, so have you been having trouble with your finances? And I was like, yeah, I like to go shopping every now and then, but I'm not missing any mortgage payments. She kind of looked at me like, and I told her, I'm like, I've never been like that. Okay. So again, right? Like, you have to ask yourself, is this the kind of relationship that I'm looking for? For somebody to try and break down my confidence just because I said I feel good about myself for more than 2 weeks at a time? God, I fucking hope so. Who the fuck are you in a fucking psychiatrist's office telling people that it's bad to feel good about themselves? Drug peddlers. And these people are counseling children and minors. So, collective, before you go running, right? Somebody else is filling your head full of bullshit. Maybe you need to have a heart-to-heart conversation. Get a second opinion, as a matter of fact. Which I was very glad that I had already been at another doctor's office, and he did a full, sat me down, went over my whole life history, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I think you probably have, some this, and this going on. And you know what he said actually made sense, right? You know, those other places, they were just trying to check a box just by looking at me. And I was like, look, and it's like, here I am trying to have a fucking heart-to-heart conversation, making goddamn common sense, and they can't even listen to that. These are the guys and folks that went to school for years and years. Kind of like near me, there was somebody that was a prosecutor that got picked up for having a unregistered firearm in their vehicle with who they were running around with. Yeah, I'd be tearful too after fucking up 3 years of law school plus 4 years of college for some bullshit like that. And they come up with some story saying they were at a dispensary in Chicago. Honey, we got so many fucking dispensaries around here, it's like going to Culver's. Some people think they're just going to get away with it. I've had them tell me that too, right? Though if I could get away with it, right? So, you know, what kind of mess did they make over here that you may be still cleaning up? Are they bringing any paper, you know? Are they like, remember that stupid video of the president when he was throwing the paper towels at the people? You know? Or are they just showing up to take a shit on your motherfucking lawn like in that movie with Jim Carrey, right? Remember? Me, you, and Irene or whatever, and his neighbor would come over and take a shit on his lawn, or the dog would or whatever. And he'd leave it for him to clean up, right? People aren't going to stand for that forever, are they? Wake up and smell the manure. Get shoveling. Get shoveling. I told somebody one time, oh my God, this dude was so unhappy. I said, he throws his shit around this bar like a monkey at the zoo. You know what I mean? After a certain point, people don't want to see that shit no more. Because all you look like is a monkey at the zoo. What's that saying? Not my circus, not my monkeys. So, okay. Part of that could be you forgiving and releasing the monkeys. Go zoo. Go zoo. Right? Okay. So, when this says, you know, express your love here and all this stuff, some of this could be tough love. All right? Where you're like, look, you know, I know you've had some driving issues before, or look, I know you've, you know, had some run-ins, blah, blah, but I can't be the one. You know? That's another thing my folks said. They said, look, they were very strict with me growing up, but like when I got to high school, they kind of like turned me loose a little bit, you know what I mean? But they told me, they're like, you get in trouble, it is on you. Like and sure enough, when I did get in trouble, who did I call? And they came and picked me up. Well, I didn't drive my own vehicle, so I was, anyway. Oh, that was really the first time I ever really got in trouble with anything, really. Right? But, is that what you want for the rest of your life? Getting into trouble like that, right? And if the person standing beside you is okay with you getting into that trouble, what does that say about how they think of you? No bueno. No bueno. All right. So again, you might forgive, but then, okay. You know what I mean? It's kind of just like the train moving there and you're like, you know? Okay. So do not give up though on your true love. This really is the romance of a lifetime. It starts though with, how we allow people to treat us, right? And some of that is recognizing, right? Once we know better that it's like I can actually choose that as well. You know, just because nobody else saw that for you doesn't mean that you don't get it. All right. It's like that kid that doesn't say anything the whole semester, and then at the end of the year they ace the test, and you're like, where'd you come from? Well, they were just being quiet and paying attention. Sometimes hard work pays off, doesn't it? Okay? Pay attention to the right things. Not all the things that everybody else wants you to pay attention to. Not the fancy vacations and the new cars and, the dinner to this new hotspot and maybe so-and-so will be there. And I mean, you can chase that life if you want. But, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, Beyonce or whoever, is just happy at home. Chances are any of them fancy places will be glad to run that food to her house so they don't have to leave and get all dolled up for everybody to go gawk at them. You know what I mean? Can you imagine, like, does Jay-Z have a grill? Like, is he flipping steaks by the pool? Is Jay-Z doing that? I want to know. Where's the TikTok? I need TMZ, can you get on this? These are the questions in my mind. You know what I mean? They do all these helicopter paparazzis. Do that. I want to see the helicopter paparazzi of Beyonce and Jay-Z like hosting a pool party, and Jay-Z's flipping the burgers and the steaks, whatever. Okay, that's what I want. All right. For my 21st birthday, please. Because Lord knows those little gypsy bastards already stole my ring, and they think I don't know that it still exists, and I absolutely do. Because it's too beautiful to destroy. Okay? Just like you, collective, are too beautiful to destroy. They cannot destroy you. Yeah. One of my grandmothers, the way that she told everybody to raise the children is, you can discipline the kids, but don't break their spirit. And the way some people operate is they've been broken, so they feel like they need to break other people. Right? So if this is you, collective, that was in that situation, you have the right to say, I don't deserve that. I'm choosing better for myself. right? And for many of you, you might be like, look, I'm happy. What's that song? Better now, better now. Is that Post Malone or somebody? Happy now, right? You're like, look, I'm happy now. I don't want to go back to, you know, your hood mentality. You know what I'm saying? And trust and believe there's people that live in the hood that don't want hood mentality either. Okay, that just happens to be their address. Okay. So yeah. So for some of you, you probably won't get this understanding with that person if they're unwilling to move from that environment. You know what I mean? Like, what's it in Good Will Hunting when he gets mad at him? He's like, you're sitting on a lottery ticket and you're not cashing it in. He's like, you know what a freaking schlub like me would do for something like a chance like that, and here you are just willing to piss it away. Remember when he tells him that? He's like, I'm going to wake up one day and I'm going to be 50. Okay. So, meaning getting away, and that could be family members. That could be, a church or social group, whatever that pressure has been around that's been a distraction. Okay. If this person is willing to retreat from that and create a retreat with you, collective, then you have the possibility for success. That's why it says here not to give up. That's why this person is even asking the question, is it over? Because they knew this was something pretty good if they were making the effort. But, who's making, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of karmics. There's a lot of, okay. So for some of these folks, it's going to be like one of these things. You're like, no. Right? And for some of these things, you're like, that makes my heart happy. Right? Okay. So think about that. Like when this person comes towards you, do you feel clouded? Do you feel like you are going to have to question your decisions, right? Or is it like this is guiding me towards happiness, not only in my heart but in the rest of me as well, as it emanates out. Okay? As when you picture like your chakra system, right? And then it's like you're radiating out. Okay? And that creates, the aura around you. Some people can see auras. It's very challenging for me personally to see auras. When I first started seeing them, it was a very strange occurrence. Because I've actually had somebody like read my aura before. You know what I mean? When you're just out and they were like, oh, so-and-so's into such and such. I'm like, oh yeah, really? I'm like, what color is my aura? You know what I mean? And then they kind of told me some stuff and I was like, that's kind of interesting. But so how you will see that and how you will use those gifts once you start tapping in, that's going to be up to you. And that's possibly something too that this person doesn't fully understand your motivation, but the right person will spend the time to want to get to know you so that they can support your motivation. All right? Little tiny shift in mindset, and then it's just going to open up that world of possibilities. Okay? And so for a lot of you collective, especially if you have been alone on this journey, you're like, look, I feel like, and sometimes that's why we go back to old people. It's like, I feel like nobody understands me. What the heck? Right? So that's, getting looped into these, well, maybe I do need to go around that old set of friends again, or maybe I do need to, whatever it is. And that doesn't mean that you're never going to speak to again or whatever. It just means that you're just not at the right, at the same place at the same time in your life. Okay. All right. So stay grounded, collective. Do work with some tiger's eye. If this is something of a concern for you over the situation, I do realize for some of you, you might feel like, you're in like dire straits or whatever, but trust me, if it is worth it, it is worth the investment. And investment means time. Your time is money. Okay. And we all have time. So what are you investing your time in? Right. So please do manifest wisely. Until next time. Bye-bye.